themselves so that we kind of get an idea of what pathway they're in or what they teach. So, Mr. Neary, I'll let you start.
Juan Neary, Garden City High School, computer.
And what academy and what pathway?
I'm in Arts Communications.
Okay.
I'm Biju Kalrigal. I teach mathematics, Garden City High School, and Trade Academy, Health and Trade Academy.
I'm Linda Ackerman, and I'm in Web and Digital Communications in the Arts and Communication Academy.
I'm Itzel Reyes, and I'm in the Trade and Health Academy as well, and I'm a junior this year.
Hello everyone, I'm Alejandro Rodriguez. I'm a senior this year. I'm in the Arts and Communication class.
Luis, Computer Talks and Media Tech.
Okay. So a little bit about Career and Technical Ed. I sent a PowerPoint to for Dennis and board members, a little bit about what technical education is. And I think we all know it's about high skills. It's about preparing students for career and for college. And with the new legislation and the Senate bill that's come out, we're also looking at industry credentials in career and technical ed. What it's not vocational, the old vocational that might pinpoint a student and take them away from the comprehensive type of learning that we have at our high school where we include academics. It's not singleton classes. I have people often ask me, why don't you just have a class in maybe cooking or maybe in just woodworking or just in maybe small gas engines? And that's not what career technical education is. It is about a sequence of courses that where those skills are built upon, and it's within a pathway that aligns with career clusters that our state approves. But just to have those one classes that are singletons is not what it is about today. And it certainly is not about remediation. We have 12 pathways, and as the teachers here have mentioned, Mr. Neary and Mrs. Ackerman, they are in Arts, AV, and Technology. They're actually, they're in that academy, but they're actually in Web and Digital Communications. And then Mr. Bijou is in Health Science. So we have 12 pathways represented at our high school. And I will say right now, we're investigating one, we're looking at it. Some of us went to a business conclave, and we're looking at a marketing pathway. So we'll see what happens as the teachers get together and we look at local need. So we'll see what happens from that. Right now we're in the middle of reauthorization for Perkins. They have not reauthorized Perkins 5, but they've set some guidelines already with some core principles. And they really are looking at the credential piece. They're looking at where's the growth in industry and business, and what are the employment figures, what are the statistics out there, the future market, what is that? And they want us to look at that, as well as looking at how do we align our programs, how do we integrate our academics with our technical skills, being accountable for that learning, especially for some of those academic skills like critical reading and writing that we mentioned in AVID. That's a district mandate as well, the Quad D type lessons. So that certainly is a piece of what career technical education is. It all works together. And an emphasis on number 4 on innovation and systemic reform in our policies at the state, plus our practices in our own community, in our own school, and in our programs. We talked about the mandated use of funds. I sent that a little bit, but I want to have my teachers talk a little bit about what they're doing. We have already mentioned, again, the critical reading and writing skills and the integration. And I'm so thankful for the PLCs and the time that our teachers can meet, because that's when integration can take place. It can also take place in department meetings where they talk about how they can integrate math and ELA standards, especially critical reading and writing. Then we look at the link between high school and post-secondary education, and that has to remain strong. We have quite a few new dual credit classes on our campus, but the real link that has helped us is Senate Bill 155, and the definition of that is that our students can get There's 4 things that happen with that. They can get reimbursement for tuition. They can get transportation paid if they ride a bus. Our school can actually, through the certificate, our students can earn a certification, and our district can basically be paid $1,000 for a certification if it's on the approved list. And I sent that approved list, I believe, but the ones that qualify for our district and our high school, actually, our high school and the programs that we have are the AWS welding certification, the CNA, the NCCER, which is electricity 1 and 2, and the last one is ProStart or the ServSafe. And if a student from our high school leaves with a ServSafe certificate, it saves an employer in a restaurant $100 right off the top because they have that certification. So those are the 4 that our students actually earned last year. All right, I'm going to have some students and some teachers talk a little bit about number 3, provide experiences in all aspects of industry. And this is something that is ongoing. We have externships in the summer for teachers to take place in going to industry, going to businesses, and they can learn a little bit more about what's going on and how application of mathematics, reading and writing skills actually are, or what technical skills are used. But we want to provide more of that in our school. We would like to see our students be able to have more workplace experiences or job shadowing. So I'm going to let Mr. Neary talk a little bit about what he's doing right now in computer graphics and in the arts and communications, web and digital design.
You have already seen the posters that were created in our class. We teach kids in InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop. Sometimes, depending on what class we have them in, we can actually have kids create posters in PowerPoint. It's really simple for them, if they haven't had the class, to understand color, schemes, what fonts work well with each other. And of course, some of the other things we do is the Rocky welding. And the kids create a bracket, and then they learn how to print it with colors. We'll just pass that on. We do have a printer in my classroom. It prints up to 42 inches. The biggest thing that we actually printed so far was a big sticker that's 17 foot wide by 40 inches tall. Here's another example of what the kids created in class. We did a food drive, and we did like teams like KU, K-State, Nebraska, Oklahoma.
I have a question for you
Yes.
on that one. With the Nebraska corn huskers.
That was last year.
I just wonder if KJ had any input on that poster. She's a big corn husker fan.
He just has good taste and knew what to put on the poster.
This year's winner is Oklahoma.
There you go.
Now, something that's really exciting that's going on is last week, Mark Segovia bought us a vinyl cutter. And with the vinyl cutter, we can actually, help other groups. We can promote our school spirit. But Alejandro's going to talk about a couple things that we made in class.
So here you can see your Buffalo logo, and what it is, it's just the vinyl by itself, and then the tag. It doesn't have an adhesive. We would like to get that, so right now we're using other forms such as tape and things like that. Even the shirts on Avid are vinyl, and we would like to do bigger themes, like the buffalo at the point. It's just a huge piece of vinyl that's been cut up and divided onto each window.
So what we have 2 different classes going. One that teaches computer graphics, making things colorful, different shadows. And on the opposite side is kind of keeping things simple. There's something elegant about a simple design. Now this is a 2-layer vinyl. It's all weather. We could sell these. For what we can make them, we could sell them to a group and they can do a fundraiser. We'll pay our costs and they can make money on top of that. We made these for Avid. And like what Alejandro was saying, we can actually buy a vinyl that works on a heat press. Now, we would love to do more. The only downfall to the posters, it's water-based, so if water touches it, it smears. Whereas the vinyl, it's outdoor. Eventually, the dream is to get a large print, to be able to do stuff that we can put on concrete, put on floors, all weather. So we'll pass these around. These don't have the adhesive tape to apply, but you can see this one's removable up to 3 years, vinyl. You could get it wet, you can clean it with Windex. It's not going to ruin it. You get the other posters wet, we got a problem. So, cool.
Thank you,
Pass
Mr.
those
Barry.
around.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you.
Itzel is here to talk a little bit. She's in her scrolls. You might pass those. Itzel, I just want you to, here you go, come on over here. Itzel's in health science, and actually, right now, she's in the middle of doing rotations. Yeah, she's a junior, so she's in the sequence. She's at the end of, she's going to be a concentrator, actually, by the time she finishes this year. But would you give a couple of comments about your experiences with your job shadowing, for example?
Well, job shadowing is a great opportunity that I'm really glad the high school provides students. I don't think many students realize that we have that opportunity, and many are interested in the health science career pathway, but not many take this course. I can't stress how excited I was to take this class. It really gets me out of my comfort zone. I don't have to sit through a whole class period. I get to go outside and, I guess I should say, a professional taste of what the real world is going to be like for me. I sit down, I'm right there next to the client, and I get to witness everything, ask questions, take notes, and at the end of the semester, I believe my final is putting together a presentation on my iPad, and I will be displaying everything I've learned throughout job shadowing and what profession really caught my attention. Job shadowing, like Ms. Schneider, who isn't here, said might be a lot of what I won't want to do in the future, and I was looking forward to, I'm for sure going to want to do this when I grow up, but I honestly do think it is going to be eliminating what I don't want to do in the future and just really finding what I'm interested in. It's a great time.
Where are you? Are you at St. Catherine right now, or are you somewhere else?
No, actually, they haven't approved us going up there yet, but I have gotten my shots and everything taken care of for that. I actually went up to Dr. Bullerston's office, and I job shadowed a dental hygienist there.
Okay, good. So we have 9 spots at the hospital, and we have 25 students in the shadowing class. So it's a rotation, and then we have to look at all aspects again of the medical and the healthcare industry. So it's not just St. Catherine, but it could be Mexican American Ministries, Finney County Health, dentist's office, Sandhill Orthopedic. So
That's- Yep.
okay. There's a place right there. So
Yeah.
we have a new place now. So, so we're always looking for places that our students could come and shadow, because that experience, as Itzel said, the experience of finding out what you don't want to do is probably more valuable than what you may want to do. Thanks, Itzel.
Thank you.
The next mandated, when I say mandated use of funds, and maybe I didn't explain this, but in the Perkins grant, we are required to address all of these 9 and say how we are going to address those with the grant funds that come to us. And so, the next one, develop, improve, and expand the use of technology. And we have a lot of technology at the high school, whether it's through the iPad initiative, which we did not necessarily purchase, but other technologies in place, whether it's the welders, or whether it's the MakerBots, the 3D printers and drafting, or whether it's the Real Care Babies, or some simulation software. That's how we're trying to expand the use of technology and give our students as many opportunities to learn about a career or to learn some skills that will help them as they progress through high school and make choices after they leave. Professional development, again, as much as it is important in AVID, it's just as important in career and technical education. And with so many pathways, we have many, many different avenues to go. So it's important, not just for our teachers, but our counselors. And that's real critical, that our counselors understand too what the needs are and understand what our pathways are about and how to help our students but also see the big picture. So whether they are going for a conference that's specific in their area or something provided by the state that's training or training on a piece of equipment, it's really critical that we address that. There are some districts that put all of their Perkins into professional development, and we choose to put about 25–30% of ours there. Evaluate how programs serve special populations. One of the things we have to do is look to see how are our students doing, our ELL students, low SES, and our busing students. It does not mean special education, but it can include special education students. But we look to see how are they doing, what type of services, are we differentiating, are they getting some extra support in the classroom? So we have to evaluate how we are meeting the needs of all students, not just some students. And that is one thing that Perkins is about. It is about all students, serving all students. I'm going to let Mrs. Ackerman talk a little bit now about initiating, improving, expanding, and modernizing our programs, because we have to stay up to date, and whether it's with software or with technology.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. One of the things that hit me is our students need to be exposed and be around other technology than the iPad and the computer. So in one of the classes that I teach, we brought in the Surface from Microsoft this year. We brought in a variety of Chromebooks so that they could experience Google and Chrome and how that operates. And then we have some touchscreen laptops. So they can have an informed piece of information, I guess, when they go to choose the device that they want. And they can see what characteristics those devices have. So that's probably one of the most current things that we've really expanded on and improved on. Then with some funds that we gathered last spring, we were able to buy a robot. He's a little 24-inch tall guy named Now, and we're learning how to program him and use him in our classes. He'll be in the programming classes, and he's also in the same class that I teach this technology. It's called Particular Topics in Media Technology. So we're pretty excited to get to use him as well.
And Luis is a student in your class.
Luis is a student.
So
He's in the one that we've had the new technology, so I'd like him to share what he thinks about that.
So like Ms. Ackerman said, the Chromebook, the Surfaces, and the touchscreen laptop, they're like, it's amazing that we're able to experience how they work, which I never thought I was able to try them out, how they work, which is really amazing. And other softwares like the InDesign, which has helped me in some projects, is like a brochure that we made, and I've used it in other classes. It's like, it makes me feel like I'm more advanced in some classes, so I'm able to get my work done a lot faster. And like some of the new technologies that we tried, it has been really amazing experiencing them. I haven't been able to try another class like that.
one of the things that is true about career and technical education, and that is transferable skills. And while they may learn something in a computer class, they're going to transfer it over, whether it's health science or early childhood education or radio, TV broadcasting, or welding. And that is definitely seen, isn't it? You're going to see that everywhere. So, the next piece, as you can see, that provides services of sufficient size, scope, and quality to assure students they transition to post-secondary education or a career. Earlier, before we had QPA, we used to count desks, and we used to count students. Well, we count students still, and we counted all kinds of things. And now we look at real data and test scores and how our students are achieving. And the same thing is true with number 8. How do we provide a program that does does expose a student to those types of skills within that curriculum or within that industry? And so we have to look at curriculum, we have to look at the professional development for the teacher, the equipment within that curriculum, and then the resources that the student's able to use and the teacher's able to use. And the last number 9 is provide activities to prepare special population students for high skill, high wage, or high demand occupations. And actually, quite a few of our students at the high school, probably 60 to 70%, fall into the category of special populations. And you can see the list here. Those are some of the things that we address. Mr. Bijou just came back from a conference for the National Health Science Curriculum Conference. And he was able to put some of his strategies to work in his class. Do you want to share one, Mr.
Of
Bijou?
course, yeah. I got a good opportunity, and thanks for Board of Education and USD-457. We, a group of 6 teachers, got an opportunity to go for National Health Science Curriculum Conference at Denver last month. And I learned a lot of things there, and I'm using some of the strategies in the class. There was a professor, her name is Julie Rose. She's from Siena Heights University, Michigan. She's researching on brain, and she gave some exercise, brain exercise. You know, when I teach trigonometry, I teach geometry, I see the students maybe after 30 minutes, after 20 minutes, they just go. I can see that, the feelings come from there. So I call that a brain dance, and we do quickly a minute dance. And I see Ray is with me in that class. Can you join, please? And I don't know I can do that with all, but I appreciate you join with me. I really appreciate it. Just let's start. Let's take only 30 seconds. This is what one exercise I learned. Hold this and cross over. Then hold. Like left hand is geometry, right hand is algebra. You shake hands. Hey, how are you doing? Then you fold it here. Go back again. And the next time you cross differently. Like that. And we all students all do that 5 times. That's the one. Thank you. And next one I do, there are 3. I'm sorry. So the next one is touching the elbow, right? This elbow to the knee. So just, I'll do that. We do that just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the second one. And there's one more. We do as a routine, so we do that in 1 minute. Like the next one is like kind of aerobics. Yeah, we lost me.
Your teacher cannot have more rhythm than you.
Yeah, we do that just for 1 minute. Once you get a routine, we do that in 1 minute. Then let's ready. Yeah, go back and we start again with the problem.
Do you see the kids get more engaged in after that whole night?
Yes, they just like to freshen up, and I go and ask feedback. Hey, how do you feel that? That's awesome. It's great. So I got some feedback, and initially it was a little struggling to get all the participation, but maybe that's peer pressure. Some of them doesn't go, but now it's a part of that. We do that. Thank you.
All of our kids need to do that, don't they? I think 90 minutes is sometimes a long time for a class, and I think that's great, and the brain-based piece of it is excellent. We're about to finish up here. 2041 is this year's probably unofficial duplicated count. That means there are that many students in a career technical education class. It's a duplicated count. You can see where our numbers have been in the last 7 or 8 years. And the interesting thing is the duplicative number continues to rise a little bit higher, a little bit faster than the non-duplicative. And I'm not sure why that is. I think some students get a credit of technology and say I'm finished, and others find that this was something that was interesting and I want to take another class. Oftentimes we have students who actually are concentrators in more than one pathway because they still haven't figured it out, but they like 2 different things. So it's good for us. Because that fall number has a lot to do with our funding, and again, we may have that many the second semester, and I don't keep track of that as much as I probably should because this is the one that has a lot to do with funding. I talked a little bit about Senate bill, so I'm going to pass that on, but it is something that we hope will continue to be there for our students and for our schools. I think it's a positive effort to help our kids think about where they're going, quality learning, responsible citizens, being prepared. This is, in case you didn't know, the funding that came. We had 26 students with the certification in year 2013, the first year, 46 students last year. So we'll see what happens this year, but I know our CNA class is full and our welding classes are full, so we'll see. Partnerships And while I want to end on this, partnerships are critical. They're critical for our teachers, and they're critical for our students. We'd like to see the business community in our classes more often. We'd like to be able to get our students out in the community more, whether it's job shadowing or a little work experience, or even it's just a field trip where we can come and take a look and see what's going on and what the industry's like. The Garden City Police Department looks different from a 3-year-old's eyes than it does compared to a 12th grader's eyes. All of a sudden, you're looking at things a bit differently. And you're looking at this as, this is something I could do. So those partnerships are huge. And we do use some of our Perkins matching funds for some local trips and for some of our students to go. So these are some of the partners that have helped out. Garfield Early Childhood Center, Mr. Guyman's great with our students in the early childhood education. The Garden City Police Department, we've had a lot of trips there with our law and public safety students. I would say one of the best is the youth entrepreneurs, all the business partners that help Mr. Holloway and have helped Mr. Neary in the past. A new one, Habitat for Humanity last year, Mrs. Miller, with our drafting and our production and trades. And Worthington Industries Palmer Tank is just one that does a lot of donation for our welding department. St. Catherine Hospital is a big help for our students in health science, and Farm Bureau supports our friends on the farm and our ag science students. So, are there any questions for the teachers and students?
Just a curiosity on, well, Worthington Industries. I know at one point in time they had an automated welding arm, and with all the technology emphasis, do they let students at least get a look at how that all works? Or?
You know, I was out there with some counselors 2 years ago, and we were able to watch that. And so I think when we took students out there, I don't know why there would be an issue with that, if there's a few students at a time. But, right, I think that would, I don't think there'd be a problem. And have not been out there since Worthington has purchased Palmer Tank. So, but when Palmers were there, when Obrights were there, we were out there quite a bit. Every year I had teachers out there. Dr. Aiken.
Jeff, I'm glad you mentioned partnerships and private industry stepping up to help support our kids and our programs as they pursue the various career pathways. Tonight you've alluded to, you mentioned Carl Perkins Funding numerous times, and I know you have taken care of that fund for a number of years. What's the status of that through the years? Can you kind of give a little brief overview of how much funding we had 10 years ago versus how much funding we have now?
About 7 or 8 years ago, we had about $130,000, and this year it's $63,000. So it's been cut in half. So the Senate bill money looks really good, but our Perkins has been cut in half. This is my either 17th or 18th year. The Perkins, I came on at the end of Perkins 1, and we're getting ready for Perkins 5. So the legislation has changed, some of the requirements have changed, but our funding goes up and down. And for a long time, we were at least at that 100,000 mark, but Dr. Aiken, we are low. We're the lowest we've ever been in the time I've been doing this.
So it indicates to me that we're going to need, as federal funding decreases through Carl Perkins, as state funding possibly goes down, it's going to become even more important for us to maintain programs like this through partnerships,
Exactly.
business partnerships.
That's going to be critical. That will be critical.
And we are training the future workers here in Garden City.
We want them to stay here.
Yes, we do.
We want them to be trained, get an education, whatever that may be. We want them to come back here and support the community.
Deb, can I just add, I've coordinated the work-based learning program for years and years and years, too many years to really tell you, but we have people on the board who have provided jobs. Mr. Cruz has been involved in that program, Fry Eye Care, Ms. Boers. We have a tremendous number of business partnerships across this city that have provided job opportunities for our young people to be in that class. And again, learn whether it's something they want to do for their career or it's something they don't want to touch at all before they invest in that college education. So those are just, you know, there's many, many of those that over the years have supported that class.
It would take pages, and I don't mean to offend anyone by not putting their names up here. These are just some that are right in front of me most of the time, But yes, it would be quite a few pages of all the partners that we do have. We would really like to see them in our school and our kids in their place of business with the right, with the right practices and in the right programs so that they know why they're there. So, but the work-based learning has been critical to a lot of our students to get some of that experience.
And sometimes with these business partnerships, it's not money they need to
No.
provide.
No.
It's to give kids an opportunity.
Exactly, that is so right. It's the time, just a little bit of time. And time is money, but if they would give us some time and if they would let us come to their business, that's huge. You can't buy that, I don't think you can. That's just, but that's really what we need. That's one of the big things we need right now. Yes, Mr. Morales?
Yeah, I can't let you go without saying something.
Okay.
You did mention moving to a new pathway, marketing possibly. We're probably not gonna ask for more teachers to create a new pathway because we know where the economics are. So we're probably gonna have to redesign ourselves and kind of recreate that. So that will be something that will be very interesting. But you can see we do have a lot of abilities to do some pretty neat things and give some students some skills that they would need to go out into the workforce. So possibly an idea, just throwing that out there in case things start firing at me.
I have to go see him first before I even say anything, but he said, okay, we can look at it. So I will say that we wrote extra grants this year so our teachers could go on the extra professional development because our Perkins dollars are lower. And so we have 2 additional competitive grants through Perkins that I wrote this fall. And one was to send the health science teachers and the other one was to send 4 teachers, or 3 and myself, to the marketing conclave a few weeks ago. So to start the planning for the marketing pathway.
I think something I'd like to reemphasize is that these are grants. This isn't federal funding coming down from something. We're required to do whatever we put in the grant in order to not have to return that money or to get money in the future. So if we don't do what we say we're going to do, then we're going to be out future dollars.
Right.
And so it's not something where we can go, oh, hey, there's $63,000 here, let's figure out a way to spend it. We have to do what's been listed on those 9 items. So I know it may be difficult for the community to think, oh, well, you have that $63,000, why don't you do this? You wanted to do this, do that with it. Well, we can't. I mean, it's earmarked very specifically for what we can and cannot do with that money. And I think sometimes there's a misperception when we got the $25,000 from FinUp Foundation, which was a huge thing for us, and I'm truly appreciative of what they did. You wrote a grant, you said what you were going to do, and you have to write a follow-up report to say this is how we did it. So we can't be just using that money for something else. So when we're looking at lower revenue funds in other areas, if we've got that grant and we said that we're going to do it, our word has to stay. We can't be using it to cover other losses.
I'll say that we've never had to send any money back, but there's a process. Again, there's always a process, and the first thing is when I start with teachers, and I say, and we start with our advisory council meeting, which we have a meeting a week from tomorrow, our first fall meeting, our first meeting of the year. And our advisory council helps advise, and we have to look at our program improvement plan and look at those mandated use of funds. And then by about March, we start looking at, okay, what are our needs? If we're gonna go here, what do we need to get there? And then we have to go to the principals and say, this is the plan. And usually there's more requests for funds than there is money. So we have to pare it down. I take it back to the teachers and I said, this is what they said they'd go with. We do that. Then I have to send it into this, bring it down to Dr. Dennis has to look it over, and then it goes to the state. So there's several layers before it even gets to the state. Now that we get it, then it's up to myself and the teachers to make sure that we follow through on the grant. So that is the process.
I will also say too, each of these career pathways goes through a very rigorous evaluation before they're approved at the state level. And I'm involved in that from approval and sending to the state, back and forth. And there's a tremendous amount of work exerted by Deb and various teachers at the high school in putting these programs together to make sure they're aligned. And sometimes they go back and forth 3 or 4 times. Is that an exaggeration, Deb?
No, it's not.
And it's weekends that Deb's sending me an email, I need this one sent in, I need this one sent in. And here we are on Saturday or Sunday getting those out to the state, so, or in the evenings. Deb has to have them right then, I might add too. So she holds me accountable to making sure we get
He's in
these.
charge. Dr. Avis, you're very good about doing that. He is very good to watch his email at that time of the year. Because it goes on for several months. But we are accountable, and our, every one of our pathways has to be reapproved every year. So it's another process. Okay. Well, there are no more questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.